our president put his hand on the Bible and swore, "I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States." Can we be both safe and free? Safe and free? Are our freedoms and security in conflict? Are our democracy and our security in conflict? Should they be in conflict? The answer to are they in conflict is yes. The answer to should they be in conflict is no. Democracy suffers when the balance of powers established by our Constitution among the executive branch, Congress, and the judiciary become too unbalanced. Democracy suffers when the American people are lied to and do not have accurate information to make informed decisions. Democracy suffers when secrecy becomes the pillars of our leaders. Can we be both safe and free? As if one, less of one, leads to more of the other. There is no inverse relationship. Fewer freedoms do not lead to greater security. People with no rights are not safe from a terrorist attack. It is our view that we can be both safe and free. What should our national security include if it doesn't also include protecting the freedoms, rights, and values contained in our Constitution? Our executive branch has assumed an unprecedented amount of power. Federal law enforcement agencies have assumed an unprecedented amount of authority to spy and detain individuals. You may remember John Ashcroft, former U.S. Attorney General, who continues his claim of being, quote, stunned and surprised at the notion that secret warrantless wiretapping is an infringement somehow on personal liberties. Government secrecy is a concept completely at odds with the idea of government accountability. As U.S. District Court Judge Damon Keith said, democracy dies behind closed doors. Secret deportation hearings, secret no-fly list, secret arrests, secret courts, secret evidence, secret detention, detention for years without charge, without access to an attorney, without due process, secret vote counting, secretly spying on Quakers. The unfortunate and illegal NSA terrorist surveillance program, or should I say the domestic spying program, or should I say the warrantless wiretapping program, the suspension of habeas corpus, and the denial of due process. This is what the current administration has brought us. But that should not be our America. At first, and sadly, our president denied the existence of the warrantless wiretapping program. He said, quote, "Now, by the way, anytime you hear the United States government talking about a wiretap, it requires a court order. Nothing has changed." But after the illegal program was revealed, after they got caught, our president said in defense of the warrantless wiretapping program, first, I want the American people to know that I have the authority to do this. And second, it is needed to protect the American people. I was hired to protect the American people. And third, regarding civil liberties, and he said nothing after that. That seems to be all he has for civil liberties, nothing. However, the president's oath makes no mention of protecting the American people. It is quite clear the president is charged under oath with preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution of the United States, which includes our civil liberties and our civil rights, due process, probable cause, and warrants, speedy trials, the right to habeas corpus, the right to an attorney, among others. Regrettably, the realities of the warrantless wiretapping threaten the very democracy we want to protect. As Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina said, even in a time of war, you have to follow a process, because that's what a democracy is all about, a process.
Alberto Gonzales, the U.S. Attorney General who replaced John Ashcroft, offered Article 2 of the Constitution as part of his defense to the warrantless wiretapping program. He told us that the Commander-in-Chief, the President, has the authority to wiretap Americans. Mr. Gonzales should be reminded that the President is the Commander-in-Chief of the military and not civilian Americans. We should remember that Article 2 charges that the President shall take care that the laws are faithfully executed. When we talk about electronic surveillance, the laws we are talking about are our Fourth Amendment, Title III, and FISA. Title III and FISA being the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, are the exclusive means by which to conduct electronic surveillance in this country, and both require probable cause and warrants to wiretap and intercept other communications. The administration also relies on Joint Resolution 23 to defend the warrantless wiretapping. Joint Resolution 23 is also known as the authorization to use military force. To use military force. When is it okay to turn our military against unsuspecting and innocent American citizens? If Congress wanted to include a phrase about wiretapping and other intercepts on unsuspecting innocent Americans, do you think they would have written that into the resolution? Excuse me. John Ashcroft, Alberto Gonzales, and our president have all said that other presidents have done it, so it must be okay. And they cite Abraham Lincoln, Woodrow Wilson, and FDR as examples. However, Abraham Lincoln had a declared war, and his intercepts happened before FISA. Woodrow Wilson had a declared war and did his wiretapping and intercepts before FISA. Roosevelt had a declared war and did his intercepts before we created FISA. Notice that John Ashcroft and the others do not cite President Nixon or President Ford. Nixon and Ford, over 40 years ago, illegally wiretapped innocent Americans and got caught. And we created FISA. Wiretapping innocent Americans without a warrant was an abuse of government power then, and it is an abuse of government power today. At the time Martin Luther King Jr. was championing the rights of all Americans, the government was violating his rights by secretly wiretapping him in the name of national security. The sorry history of the surveillance and wiretapping of dissenters, of those seen as political enemies of the president, led to laws that specifically requires the president to seek court approval for wiretapping of Americans, even for national security investigations. Our current president believes that he is not bound by these laws. An American can be under illegal surveillance by this administration without any judicial check on that power. This is not the America in Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. In fact, the nightmare we are now living, and that includes a Congress, the majority of whom are like fire ants in a flood who do not even want to appropriately investigate the warrantless wiretapping program to understand the extent of its reach and its breach. Regrettably, Congress is complicit. Democracy dies behind closed doors.